Informasi lebih lanjut dapat menghubungi Halo LPS 154 dan website www.lps.go.id. LPS menjamin simpanan nasabah perbankan sampai dengan 2 miliar rupiah per nasabah perbankan dengan syarat 3T, yaitu tercatat dalam pembukuan bank, tingkat bunganya tidak melebihi tingkat suku bunga yang ditetapkan oleh LPS, dan tidak melakukan tindakan yang merugikan bank seperti kredit macet. Setiap bank yang melakukan kegiatan usaha di wilayah Republik Indonesia wajib menjadi peserta penjaminan LPS. LPS dibentuk berdasarkan Undang-Undang Republik Indonesia Nomor 24 Tahun 2004 serta berstatus badan hukum dan bertanggung jawab kepada Presiden Republik Indonesia. Lembaga Penjamin Simpanan atau LPS adalah lembaga independen yang berfungsi menjamin simpanan nasabah perbankan di Indonesia.
Maaf, kamu Gina ya?
Bowo.
Gina,
Ya.
apa kabar?
Long time no see.
Lama banget. Kamu sendiri kan? Join meja aku yuk.
Boleh. Kamu ngapain sendirian di sini?
Tadi itu aku habis job interview.
Really? Di mana?
Di LPS, My Dream Job.
LPS.
Lembaga Penjamin Simpanan. Kamu lihat semua orang yang ada di sini, pasti setiap orang yang ada di sini punya simpanan di bank kan? Baik itu bentuknya giro, deposito, atau tabungan. Pokoknya setiap kegiatan ekonomi dan transaksi kita nih, itu selalu melibatkan yang namanya bank untuk mencatat dan menyimpan transaksi kita. Dan LPS ini, Gin, mulia banget. Karena LPS ini menjamin simpanan kita di bank kalau nih tiba-tiba uang kita atau dana kita itu hilang. Atau tiba-tiba banknya bermasalah. Jadi LPS yang menjamin.
LPS keren dong.
Keren dong, dan banyak banget ya nasabah bank yang tertolong sama LPS ini. Jadi kita tuh nggak perlu khawatir kalau punya simpanan di bank. Kan ada LPS yang ngejamin.
LPS ada sejak kapan sih?
Aku liatin kamu sejarahnya LPS, kamu nonton ini. Sambil kamu nonton, aku cari cemilan dulu. Oke?
Tahun 1997 sampai 1998 terjadi krisis ekonomi di Indonesia. Kepercayaan pada perbankan merosot drastis dan terjadi penarikan dana besar-besaran oleh masyarakat. Stabilitas perekonomian nasional berada di ujung tanduk. Untuk mengatasi krisis, pemerintah mengeluarkan beberapa kebijakan, di antaranya memberikan blanket garansi atau jaminan atas seluruh kewajiban pembayaran bank termasuk simpanan masyarakat. Dalam pelaksanaannya, blanket garansi memang dapat menumbuhkan kembali kepercayaan masyarakat terhadap industri perbankan. Namun, ruang lingkup perjaminan yang terlalu luas ternyata membebani keuangan negara dan menyebabkan timbulnya moral hazard baik dari sisi pengelola bank maupun masyarakat. Akhirnya, program penjaminan yang sangat luas lingkupnya tersebut digantikan dengan sistem penjaminan yang terbatas. Pada tahun 2004, pemerintah Indonesia menerbitkan Undang-Undang Nomor 24 Tahun 2004 tentang Lembaga Penjamin Simpanan. Setahun kemudian, yakni pada tanggal 22 September 2005, LPS mulai beroperasi.
Gimana?
Menarik banget ya videonya.
Ya kan, bagus banget kan? Nah, aku masih punya banyak lagi kalau kamu mau nonton.
Mau, tapi gimana kalau kita pindah tempat?
Ayo, boleh. Kita cari yang outdoor ya. Ayo.
Kalau di luar negeri itu ada LPS juga nggak sih?
Ada, tapi namanya bukan LPS. FDIC, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. Jadi ada 100 negara di dunia yang punya program yang sama kayak LPS ini. Nah, mereka itu tergabung dari Asosiasi Lembaga Penjamin Simpanan Internasional. LPS hadir untuk
Menjamin simpanan di bank,
membuat kita tenang.
hati tentram.
LPS, sahabat nasabah Indonesia.
Begitu banyak kekayaan yang Allah amanahkan pada manusia untuk dikelola dengan sebaik-baiknya demi kesejahteraan manusia itu sendiri. Rasulullah Shallallahu Alaihi Wasallam telah mengajarkan kita supaya manusia bisa mengelola amanah tersebut secara adil dengan tidak menumpuk harta tersebut, sehingga harta akan selalu mengalir dalam investasi melalui kerjasama dalam kebaikan dan selalu menjaga keseimbangan spiritual dan kelestarian alam. Perekonomian syariah adalah konsep terbaik untuk perekonomian lokal maupun global karena menjamin mengalir dan terdistribusinya harta ke dalam jalur bisnis dan sosial dalam rangka menghidupkan perekonomian. Ekonomi syariah adalah faktor yang sangat efektif sebagai variabel untuk menciptakan kesejahteraan di Indonesia dan mempunyai efek berantai yang sangat positif bagi bergeraknya sektor lain. Secara global, bangkit dan berkembangnya perekonomian syariah diyakini sebagai arus baru perekonomian adalah sebuah keniscayaan yang alami. Di Indonesia, cara bermuamalah sesuai prinsip syariah sudah dimulai sejak ratusan tahun yang lalu, sejak para ulama masuk ke Indonesia untuk berdakwah dan berdagang. Praktik-praktik ekonomi syariah tersebut masih dapat dilihat dari jejak peninggalannya, seperti dalam adat bagi hasil kelola sawah, mertelu dan maro di daerah Jawa Tengah, titip ternak, dan sebagainya. Prinsip dasar Islam menghidupkan ekonomi adalah dengan menjalankan prinsip-prinsip ekonomi syariah untuk selalu mengalirkan harta, mendistribusikan pendapatan dalam rangka menjamin inklusivitas masyarakat, mengoptimalkan bisnis, menghilangkan spekulasi yang tidak produktif, bertransaksi dengan cara transparan dan adil, serta berpartisipasi dalam bidang sosial untuk kepentingan publik. Islam memastikan muamalah seperti bisnis, jual beli, jasa, atau apapun harus dilakukan dengan dasar adil, saling sepakat, terbuka, tidak membahayakan keselamatan, tidak zalim, dan tidak mengandung zat haram, atau dengan kata lain, mendorong kita melakukan bisnis halal. Menyadari begitu banyaknya pengaruh positif sistem perekonomian syariah, berbagai lembaga multilateral memberikan perhatian khusus. Berbagai negara non-muslim bahkan sudah mendeklarasikan visi mereka untuk menjadi pemain utama dalam perekonomian syariah global. Inggris memiliki program untuk menjadikan London sebagai pusat keuangan Islam di Barat. Thailand mencanangkan visi untuk menjadi pusat dapur halal dunia. Korea menargetkan untuk menjadi destinasi utama wisata halal dunia. Australia sebagai pusat eksportir utama daging halal. Dan Brasil sebagai pemasok unggas halal terbesar. Bank Indonesia mendukung pengembangan ekonomi syariah nasional untuk menjadikan Indonesia sebagai pusat ekonomi dan keuangan syariah dunia yang dijalankan dengan strategi nasional yang memiliki 3 pilar utama, yaitu pemberdayaan ekonomi syariah, pendalaman pasar keuangan syariah, serta penguatan riset, asesmen, dan edukasi yang didukung dengan pengembangan sumber daya insani, data dan informasi, serta koordinasi dengan pemangku kepentingan lain. Dalam pemberdayaan ekonomi syariah, fokus utama program adalah peningkatan aset usaha syariah melalui penerapan rantai nilai halal. Di dalam bisnis kecil sampai besar, pesantren dan lembaga lain, standar kehalalan diterapkan dari hulu ke hilir dalam berbagai bidang seperti pertanian terintegrasi, industri makanan, obat dan kosmetik, industri pakaian, energi terbarukan, dan wisata halal. Pemberdayaan ekonomi syariah juga dilakukan melalui penguatan kelembagaan seperti asosiasi, pesantren, internasional inisiatif, serta otoritas sektor sosial, dan melalui penguatan dan pengembangan infrastruktur pendukung seperti pengembangan kawasan ekonomi syariah, pembiayaan syariah, serta berbagai kerjasama dan kolaborasi. Dalam penerapan pilar kedua, pendalaman pasar keuangan syariah dilakukan melalui pendalaman sektor keuangan komersial syariah, sektor keuangan sosial syariah, serta integrasi antara keduanya. Hal ini diwujudkan dalam program-program penguatan regulasi, pengembangan instrumen, penguatan infrastruktur dan kelembagaan, serta perluasan penerbit dan basis investor keuangan syariah. Pendalaman pasar keuangan syariah bertujuan untuk meningkatkan likuiditas di pasar keuangan syariah dengan strategi antara lain mencapai sasaran peningkatan pembiayaan syariah, likuiditas pasar uang berdasarkan prinsip syariah, dan aktivitas sektor keuangan sosial syariah sehingga tercapainya pasar keuangan syariah yang liquid, efisien, inklusif, serta aman sebagai sarana pengelolaan likuiditas dan sumber pembiayaan yang produktif. Dalam penerapan pilar ketiga, yaitu riset, asesmen, dan edukasi ekonomi syariah, memiliki fokus utama, yaitu meningkatkan literasi ekonomi syariah. Untuk mewujudkan ini, riset mengenai perekonomian syariah terus-menerus dilakukan dengan bekerja sama dengan berbagai lembaga, forum ahli, lembaga riset internasional, perguruan tinggi, dan juga lembaga sertifikasi profesi. Hal ini dilakukan dengan mengedukasi masyarakat secara formal maupun non-formal. Sebagai negara dengan jumlah penduduk muslim terbesar di dunia, Indonesia memiliki potensi luar biasa untuk memimpin perekonomian syariah dunia. Namun demikian, kita masih harus berusaha jauh lebih keras untuk menjadi pemain utama dalam industri halal global dan bukan hanya berperan sebagai konsumen. Dengan pengembangan ekonomi dan keuangan syariah, maka kita mengharapkan menjadi sumber pertumbuhan baru perekonomian yang akan menyokong ekonomi nasional maupun global.
Kebaikan itu nyata. Bergerak dalam diam, terus mengalir dan menyebar. Akan tumbuh seiring dengan kebaikan baru. Hingga tanpa kita sadari, kekuatannya membuat kita terus maju. Karena sebuah kebaikan yang kita lakukan pasti akan berpulang.
Very welcome to all of participants for this international seminar, Accelerating Decent Work and Economic Growth for a Resilient Global Recovery in the Era of Disruption. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We would like to inform you that the seminar will begin. For participants, please fill out the questionnaire in column live chat YouTube as proof of attendance. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to inform you that we're holding Gsent contest. Just upload your photo or video on your Instagram story, put the hashtag Gsent 2022, tag at Gsent_Saf and at KSEI_Saf. Whoever is lucky will get e-money as a reward. Also, we would like to inform you that we are holding open recruitment of Sharia Economic Forum 2022. This opportunity is open for the students of GUNADARMA University in the first until the fourth semester. Register yourself by click the link below, saf.or.id/open recruitment. Prepare yourself to become a member of Sharia Economic Forum. GUNADARMA Sharia Economic event was organized by GUNADARMA University, Sharia Economic Forum of GUNADARMA University, Indonesia Sharia Economic Festival of Bank Indonesia. This event is supported and sponsored by BEM Fakultas Ekonomi Universitas GUNADARMA, Ikatan Ahli Ekonomi Islam, IB, Forum Silaturahim Studi Ekonomi Islam, Medinat Islamic Finance House, Lembaga Penjamin Simpanan Bank Indonesia, Jekel, Badan Wakaf Al-Quran, Hijrah Bank, Inisiatif Zakat Indonesia, KAF, Dompet Duafa, BEM Fikti, BEM FTI, BEM Fikom, BEM D3BK, Himpunan Mahasiswa Akuntansi, BEM FPSI, Himpunan Mahasiswa Sastra Tiongkok, Himpunan Mahasiswa Farmasi, Himpunan Mahasiswa Elektro, Archery GUNADARMA, Fajrul Islam, Nusantara, Koma Desain, GUNADARMA Skateboarding, Taman Literasi UG, TV, Himpunan Mahasiswa Teknik Informatika. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The Honorable to all of the speakers and moderator, Dr. Atikur Rahman as Associate Professor and Director of Kashmir Institute of Economics University of Azad Jammu and Kashmir. Dr. Muhammad Fadil Hasan as Founder and President Commissioner at Institute for Development of Economics and Finance. Ms. Rizkia Sari Yudawinata as Sustainable Finance Program Lead at WWF Indonesia. The Honorable Representative of our sponsors, the Honorable Ms. Zirkina Nuril Imani as Chief Executive of GUNADARMA Sharia Economic Event 2022, the Honorable Mr. Abdurrafi Rashid Ridho as the Chairman of Sharia Economic Forum of GUNADARMA University, the Honorable Deputy of Senate, the alumni and all of the members of Sharia Economic Forum, and the Honorable International Seminar participants of GUNADARMA Sharia Economic Event 2022. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahi hamdan kathiran, tayyiban mubarakan fi, kama yuhibbu rabbuna wa yarda. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh la nabiyya ba'da. First of all, let's thank to Allah the Almighty who giving us the mercy and blessing until we can attend in this international seminar, Accelerating Decent Work and Economic Growth for a Resilient Global Recovery in the Era of Disruption. GUNADARMA Sharia Economic Event 2022 is the biggest annual event of Sharia Economic Forum of GUNADARMA University. This event has been held for 17 years with tremendous of success, which is over 3,000 participants attend by various colleges and universities across Indonesia. We have also invited many professional speakers from Indonesia and other countries. It is also supported and sponsored by more than 30 institutions, one of which is Lembaga Penjamin Simpanan, that has been established for 17 years as a state institution in charge of maintaining banking system stability through guaranteeing customer deposits. This year, GUNADARMA Sharia Economic Event is a part of Indonesia Sharia Economic Festival of Bank Indonesia, which is a forum for the integration of various activities in the Islamic economy and finance sector. Ladies and gentlemen, we will initiate this event by reciting of Holy Quran, which will be recited for Ahmad Muzaki. For Muzaki, the time is yours.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم هو الذي جعل لكم الأرض ذلولا فامشوا في مناكبها وكلوا من رزقه وإليه النشور. It means it is He who has made the earth humble, subservient to for you. Therefore go about on its shoulders, on it, on mountains, valleys, and eat of His sustenance. And to Him is the resurrection and gathering.
Masya Allah. Allah has warned us in the Holy Quran with His beautiful words. The Quran is the greatest word among the wonders of the world. May Allah always guide us to the straight path that will lead into heaven. Amin. Now, we come into the main point and listen to the presentation of our speakers today, which will be moderated by Ms. Rizkia Sari Yudawinata as Sustainable Finance Program Lead at WWF Indonesia. Ms. Rizkia Sari Yudawinata is a leader of the Sustainable Finance Program Worldwide Fund or WWF Indonesia, which actively contributes to the financial sector at the national level by integrating environmental, social, and governance risk. In addition, WWF Indonesia also contributes to the governance of business decision-making processes through various engagement with key stakeholders such as regulators, banks, and investors. Previously, Ms. Rizkia also worked in a law firm and spent her last 12 years at WWF working in issues such as responsible, soft commodities, and sustainable finance. For Ms. Rizkia Saryudawinata, please moderate this session. Thank you.
Thank you for the kind introduction, Mbak Dian. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And welcome speakers and participants. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure and honor to be here to moderate this important yet interesting discussion that we will have in a few minutes ahead. The first international webinar under the 2022 GUNADARMA Sharia Economic Events concerning Indonesia's sustainable development, creating a holistic way through Islamic economics to accelerate in overcoming economic instability. And this afternoon, we will have two distinguished speakers to speak on accelerating decent work and economic growth for a resilient global recovery in the era of disruption. And they are Bapak Dr. Fadil Hasan, founder and president commissioner at the Institute of Development of Economic and Finance, INDEF, and also Dr. Atikur Rahman, associate professor and director of Kashmir Institute of Economics, University of Azad, Jammu and Kashmir. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Bapak Dr. Fadil and Dr. Rahman. How are you doing, Bapak, Dr.? Hope you are well. Okay. Okay, thank you for taking the time with us this afternoon session, Bapak Dr. Fadil and Dr. Rahman, and we will have around 1 hour presentation, followed by a 20 minutes of Q&A sessions. And for the first 30 minutes, we will have Dr. Atikur Rahman to first present on the importance of a workforce applying Islamic business ethics and building the national economy by providing inclusive employment opportunities to reduce unemployment and poverty, and thereby to enhance the prosperity of the community. And before delivering the presentations, allow me to first read out Dr. Rahman's short bio. Dr. Atikur Rahman is an associate professor and director of Kashmir Institute of Economics, University of Azad, Jammu and Kashmir. He has published a number of papers on econometrics in various reputable journals. Dr. Rahman also possesses skills in applied econometrics, and beside econometrics, Dr. Rahman has also a deep interest in monetary economics, where his scholarly contributions in monetary economics have been presented in various and a number of international conferences. And he has a great ability to elaborate the complex economics concept in a moderate way. Wow, such an excellent resume from Dr. Rahman. So, all right. So, without further ado, I would like to give the floor to Dr. Rahman. You have 30 minutes until around until 2 p.m. Around 2 p.m. Jakarta time. And allow me to remind you 5 minutes before the session time ends. And yeah, the floor is yours, Dr. Rahman. Dr. Rahman, can you hear my voice? Can you hear my voice? Are you already connected well? Yeah, I think it's the signal. Okay. Dr. Rahman is still having a challenges on a little technical issues, and will be having sorry we're having a Okay, welcome again to the session. So we will invite Dr. Rahman. Hopefully now he already joining and it's and now it's fine for the connections. Dr. Rahman, can you hear us? Dr. Rahman, can you hear us clearly? Assalamualaikum, Dr. Rahman. So perhaps there still has he still has technical issues in connecting to the internet. So without further ado, I would like to then invite Dr. Fadil, Dr. Muhammad Fadil Hassan, the founder and president commissioner at the Institute of Development of Economics and Finance, INDEF. Selamat siang, Bapak Fadil. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Bapak Fadil, thank you so much for taking the time with us this afternoon session. And Dr. Fadil will share the effective strategies to support an inclusive and sustainable national economic growth, as well as the availability of job opportunities that can absorb productive workers and decent work for all. And before delivering the presentation, let me read out Dr. Fadil resume. Dr. Fadil is one of the founders of INDEF, and currently he is the founder and the president commissioner at the INDEF. And until now, he has succeeded in publishing around 7 publications and being a senior research in various institutions, and currently also serves as the chairman and concurrently a member of the Bank Indonesia Supervision Agency, the BSBI. Bapak Fadil, without further ado, I would like to give you the floor. You have 30 minutes until around 2 p.m. Jakarta time, Pak. The floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Moderator, Ibu Rizkia. And then, first of all, I would like to thank the University of GUNADARMA for inviting me to participate in this important event. And the committee asked me to present a paper titled Accelerating Decent Work and Economic Growth for Resilient Global Recovery in the Era of Disruption. So hopefully my presentation will be useful, and then we can follow by the Q&A session to be more fruitful our seminar today. So as you know that decent work is one of the goals in the sustainable development introduced by the United Nations in back in 1990s. The sustainable development concept was introduced since we witnessed that the development strategy and then the adoption of the development strategy in many countries, which focus on growth and then efficiency, and then without taken into account the social aspect and then the environmental and governance aspects, has failed to improve the welfare of the people and the community or the society as a whole. So the sustainable development is a development that aims to improve the quality of human life throughout the world for present and future generations. And then there are at least four equally important aspects in the sustainable development paradigm. That's first is the economic growth and equity, social development, and then conservation of natural resources, and good governance. So based on that concept, then there are around 17 goals that this sustainable development would like to be achieved. Yeah, and when one of the goals is that one of the goal is on the decent works. Why decent work is a very important aspect of the sustainable development goals, because if you what do you call it, see these people, yeah, especially people who already entering the labor market, work is more than just jobs. Work is something that also related to the dignity of human being, right? So in order to be able to function as a human being, then people has to have works, right? Have to have jobs. So decent jobs also mean stronger and more inclusive economic growth, because decent works require that people have decent and then adequate what do you call it, income, yeah, for to be able to do what they have to do as a human being, or as a what do you call it, as the head of the family, for example, and so on and so forth. Decent work also meaning that that the works has to be inclusive, right? Not the job created not only limited to certain element of the society, but to all people in that society. Decent work put money in the pocket of individuals and families that they can spend on the local economy, yeah, and then with that purchasing power can fuel the economic growth and development of sustainable enterprises, yeah, especially in small enterprises, yeah, which in turn are able to hire more workers and improve their payment and condition. At the same time, it also a part of the revenue for the government, which can then fund social measure to protect those who cannot find a job or unable to work. So that's why I think decent work is very important aspect, yeah, in the sustainable development that ensure that the sustainable development can be implemented, with this with this element of the decent jobs. Yeah. So I also would like to touch on several issues with regard to this decent job issues, right? So first of all, I would like to talk briefly about the decent jobs creation in small businesses. As you know that the micro, small, and medium size enterprises are the world's job creators. The largest world jobs creator, accounting for at least two-thirds of jobs worldwide. They are also the business that hardest hit by the financial crisis, as access to credit become restricted. Uh, and then small enterprises is often found in the informal sector where working conditions uh, are in practice unregulated, right? And then without protection from the government. So promoting uh, development oriented policies that support productive asset and then entrepreneurship, innovation and creativity uh, in the small business, small enterprises is very important to uh, ensure that the small enterprises can contribute significantly to the creation of the decent jobs. So what we need to be done to make that happen, first of all, that small business enterprises need to be supported uh, uh, in terms of the what do you call it, improving uh, what do you call, their legality, and then also their access and to the financial services, to the management, then to technology, and so on and so forth. And then also the things that the government needs to be done to improve the performance of the small business enterprises is to uh, make the small business enterprises become more legal and formal. As I mentioned before, that the informality is the characteristic of the small enterprises. And because of that condition, their access to the financial services, to the technology, to the management are limited. So one of the policy that can promote the and increase the contribution of the small business enterprises in creating the decent jobs is to make them formal and legal. So with that formality and legality, then the access to the financial services, to the uh, technology and management can be wider. That's what the first issue on the small business enterprises. And then the second issue that I would like to talk is on the equality in work. As you know that up to now there is inequality, or should say that there's a gender inequality in the jobs, right? And then women especially are often in undervalue and low paid jobs, and then has what do you call it, less access to the education, training, and recruitment. And then they also have limited bargaining and decision making power, and still further responsibility for most unpaid care works. And then globally, only a half of the world's women are in the labor force, compared to nearly 80% of men. Yeah, and then earning on average 20%, 23% less than men. Uh, so that's, I think, uh, this condition reflect that there is the inequality in the jobs market, yeah, between men and women. So if we can improve this condition, I think this will create the environment, yeah, in which the equality in works between men and women can be better off, and then this, I think, also will give a significant contribution in creating the decent jobs. So what needs to be done in order to make equality in works between men and women? First of all, that we have to have a macroeconomic policy that promote job creation and support demand and investment. Need to be prioritized along with the tax infrastructure and sector-specific policy that enhance productivity. And then second, we need policy that put in place to help women enter the labor force and enable them to benefit from fair maternity protection and work family policies. And then the third one is we need to have like people-centered policies that reduce inequality. This include social protection measures, wage policy, strengthen labor inspection, increase female labor participation, and protection of collective bargaining. So that are the policy need to be done, yeah, in order to make environment in the jobs in the job market more equal between men and women. And then the third issue that I would like to touch is on the youth employment. And then this is the condition why this issue is very important. First, that there are 620 million young people aged between 15 and 24 that are not in education, yeah, employment or training. And then there are 75 million young people are trained but have no jobs. This is, I'm talking about what happened around the world. And then in the next decade, 1 billion young people will enter the labor market, and large numbers of young people will face a future irregularity, informal employment. And then 90% of young people live in the developing countries. And then youth are approximately 3 times more likely to be unemployed than the adult. So this is the condition that we face, yeah, with regard to the youth unemployment. In Indonesia, for example, we can show here the data showing that the youth unemployment is still high, yeah, and rising during the pandemic. And then what you call it, is this higher than the average labor, employment. So the rise of youth unemployment during the pandemic, for example, comes from the unemployed people aged between 20 and 24. And also we can see here the data showing that the unemployment rate with an advanced degree has fluctuated in the last 6 years and increased during pandemic. So the data that I took from Indonesia showing maybe a similar condition to what happened in other countries, right? Uh, so that's why I think it is very important to address the issue of your youth unemployment. So what we need to be done with regard to this issue, yeah. First, that we have to develop strategy to promote youth employment that balance an integrated strategy for growth and job creation with targeted intervention, such as job search assistance or measure to support young entrepreneurs. The second one is to address skills mismatch by ensuring that training programs meet labor market need, then by introducing a works experience component in technical vocational education and training. And then third is to invest in innovative forms of social protection to improve income security for workers in vulnerable employment. Now, in Indonesia, for example, we have now the program so-called Kartu Prakerja. Yeah, Kartu Prakerja has been implemented in the last 2.5 years, and then this is also aimed at uh, uh, addressing the issue of the youth unemployment, or the, what do you call it, this people who just graduated but needs to be trained, and then also people who just being laid off. So the Kartu Prakerja, I think, to some extent has been successful in addressing this issue of youth employment. The last thing that I would like to talk is on the safety and health at work. And this is the condition that I can show is that every day 6,400 people die from the occupational accident or a disease, yeah, amounting to 2.3 million deaths each year, and then a further 860,000 people are injured on the job daily, and then the cost of this is about 2.8 trillion US dollar annually, yeah, around 4% of the global gross domestic product. Yeah. So that's why if we can, what do you call it, this address this issue, solve this condition, these problems, I think in addition to reducing the loss of in terms of the money, in terms of the in of the money, but also I think making safetier and healthier at work. So what is the issue here needs to be done, yeah, to make safety and health at work is first protect labor rights and promote a safe and secure working environment for all workers, including migrant workers, in particular women migrant and those in precarious employment. And then another thing also is to build a global culture of prevention that respect the right to a safe and healthy working environment, and ensure that both employers and workers know their rights and responsibilities. And then the last one is implementation of the International Labour Organization fundamental right and standard at the national level. Yeah. Vulnerable groups such as migrants require particular attention to ensure that their rights are protected and working conditions improve. So that are the issues with regard to the decent jobs, and then accelerating our effort to address and solve the problem of the issue that I mentioned in my presentation. I think will significantly contribute to the achievement of the sustainable development goals in 2030, as suggested by the United Nations. So with that, I would like to close my presentation and then give it back to the moderator. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bapak Dr. Fadil, for the great presentations. And it is sad to learn some of the facts, including the youth employment issues. Hopefully that we could find the innovative solutions and build a strong strategy, ya Pak. And thank you so much for managing the presentations timely as well. And so we have now Dr. Rehman is already on board with us. Dr. Rehman, can you hear us? Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Dr. Rehman. Dr. Rehman, perhaps you could try to turn off your video but keep your voice out. Perhaps it will help the connection. I'm sorry, we can't hear you, Pak. It's still unclear. It's cutting off. So perhaps while we are waiting for Dr. Rehman to sort the technical issues on the internet connections, perhaps there will be some of the commercials that will be starting, and also some of the important informations from the committee of the 2020 GUNADARMA Sharia Economic events. So there will be a number of events that will be held by these GUNADARMA Sharia Economic events. And we will be happy to having the participants to register your participations on the upcoming a number of webinar sessions around how the Islamic economics would have a key role in accelerating to overcome the economic instability.
Kamu Gina ya?
Bowo,
Gina, apa kabar?
long time no see.
Lama banget. Kamu sendiri kan? Join meja aku yuk.
Boleh. Kamu ngapain sendirian di sini?
Tadi itu aku habis job interview.
Really? Di mana?
Di LPS, my dream job.
LPS.
Lembaga Penjamin Simpanan. Kamu lihat semua orang yang ada di sini, pasti setiap orang yang ada di sini punya simpanan di bank kan? Baik itu bentuknya giro, deposito, atau tabungan. Pokoknya setiap kegiatan ekonomi dan transaksi kita nih, itu selalu melibatkan yang namanya bank untuk mencatat dan menyimpan transaksi kita. Dan LPS ini, Gin, mulia banget. Karena LPS ini menjamin simpanan kita di bank kalau nih tiba-tiba uang kita atau dana kita itu hilang. Atau tiba-tiba banknya bermasalah. Jadi LPS yang menjamin.
LPS keren dong.
Keren dong, dan banyak banget ya nasabah bank yang tertolong sama LPS ini. Jadi kita tuh nggak perlu khawatir kalau punya simpanan di bank. Kan ada LPS yang ngejamin.
LPS ada sejak kapan sih?
Aku liatin kamu sejarahnya LPS, kamu nonton ini. Sambil kamu nonton, aku cari cemilan dulu. Oke?
Tahun 1997 sampai 1998 terjadi krisis ekonomi di Indonesia. Kepercayaan pada perbankan merosot drastis dan terjadi penarikan dana besar-besaran oleh masyarakat. Stabilitas perekonomian nasional berada di ujung tanduk. Untuk mengatasi krisis, pemerintah mengeluarkan beberapa kebijakan, di antaranya memberikan blanket garansi atau jaminan atas seluruh kewajiban pembayaran bank termasuk simpanan masyarakat. Dalam pelaksanaannya, blanket garansi memang dapat menumbuhkan kembali kepercayaan masyarakat terhadap industri perbankan. Namun, ruang lingkup penjaminan yang terlalu luas ternyata membebani keuangan negara dan menyebabkan timbulnya moral hazard baik dari sisi pengelola bank maupun masyarakat. Akhirnya, program penjaminan yang sangat luas lingkupnya tersebut digantikan dengan sistem penjaminan yang terbatas. Pada tahun 2004, pemerintah Indonesia menerbitkan Undang-Undang Nomor 24 Tahun 2004 tentang Lembaga Penjamin Simpanan. Setahun kemudian, yakni pada tanggal 22 September 2005, LPS mulai beroperasi.
Gimana?
Menarik banget ya videonya.
Ya kan, bagus banget kan? Nah, aku masih punya banyak lagi kalau kamu mau nonton.
Mau, tapi gimana kalau kita pindah tempat?
Ayo, boleh. Kita cari yang outdoor ya. Ayo.
Kalau di luar negeri itu ada LPS juga nggak sih?
Ada, tapi namanya bukan LPS. FDIC, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. Jadi ada 100 negara di dunia yang punya program yang sama kayak LPS ini. Dan mereka itu tergabung dari Asosiasi Lembaga Penjamin Simpanan Internasional. LPS hadir untuk
Menjamin simpanan di bank,
membuat kita tenang.
hati tentram.
LPS, sahabat nasabah Indonesia.
Yeah, welcome again with us to the 2020 GUNADARMA Sharia Economic Events. And we will have a discussion with Bapak Dr. Fadli in regards to his presentation, his interesting facts that have been shown by Bapak Dr. Fadli. Pak Fadli, it's very it's very sad to see some of the facts that we are seeing a low youth employment, some of the key challenges, and including the small businesses competency. Dr. Fadil, up to now, what has been done to manage or to address this kind of challenges from perhaps the stakeholders or the governments? Is there any some initial concrete strategy to address these issues?
I mean, the issue of the low education, low quality of
youth
quality of
youth employment. Youth employment.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think First of all, yeah, the we need to have the better vocational training, yeah, that match with the need of the industries. The government has a lot of the so-called balai latihan kerja, ya, jobs training workshop, ya. But the condition of that workshop are not very good, the instrument and the machine, yeah, the machinery, and also the what do you call it, this instructor, I think is out of date, So the quality of the people who what do you call it, has been trained in that workshop is not very qualified, and then does not match with the need of the industries. Yeah. So that's one I think we need to what do you call it, reprogram, yeah, or reform, yeah, reform the condition of the jobs training workshop, yeah. And then the second one is that we need to what I call it, to closely cooperate with the industries. Industry need employee, a qualified employee for their factory, for their operation, and then I think the government has to cooperate closely, with the industry in providing, for example, information and also and any other what do you call it, any other materials, yeah, to the government, yeah, for having better training for the youth employment. Yeah. And then the third one is, of course, with regard to the general condition of our education. Yeah. I think we the low quality of our education also need to be what do you call it, improved, yeah, so that the so when they entering the market, jobs market job market, then the industry does not need to retrain them again, right? So far I think you will graduate and then enter the job market, then they are still, then the industry still need to retrain you, right? Because your education, or they call it, capacity has not matched up with the need of the industry, yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Pak. So yeah, it's it needs a lot of work, certainly, and we've got questions coming in from YouTube, Pak, and
Yeah.
the question is from Lutfi. from GUNADARMA. So the question is, what should we do as a student to prevent ourselves from being unemployed? Is upgrading our skill is enough, or perhaps Bapak Fadil can elaborate more on that. I think some of the discussions already addressed.
Yeah, I think right now that the opportunity are bigger and better, yeah. In order for you to be more creative, yeah, what do you call it, to work hard and then to study more, what do you call it, more diligently, uh, so that your capacity and then you are ready, yeah, when you graduate to enter the job market or to create your own businesses, right? To be entrepreneur, for example. Uh, I think as a student, then you to be in addition that you have to be work hard, creative, innovative, a lot of reading, yeah, a lot of what I call it, uh, trial and error, for example. And also another important aspect is to create networks, right? By socializing in your own groups, for example, or with other groups, for example, in terms of the university, yeah, other university. So within be more uh, be more be become what I call it, this
Proactive.
yeah, people person, ya, people person. Jadi so uh, you to be more socialized, ya, to be more creative, to be more innovative, ya, and try to uh, work hard, ya. I think that's not material that you need, ya, to be when you graduate. I think you're ready for entering the market, job market, or uh, creating your own businesses.
Yeah. Thank you, Pak Fadli. So the keywords is the limitations creates it actually creates creativity and study harder and be more proactive to find opportunities, getting new networks. So yeah, it's being more independent is uh, the key ingredients, key materials in sorting out of these challenges faced by these youth. And there will be another questions from YouTube as well. It's from Ahmad Muzaki. And what do you think about industrial policy accelerating decent work and economic growth in Indonesia through manufacturing companies rather than software companies because of some of the hurdle issues?
Yeah, I think I'm not sure I understand this question, but both I think in the manufacturing industries and also including in the software industries, uh, what do you call it? Industrial policy is very important, right? Uh, if you read the literature with respect to industrial policy is a policy that prefer one of to a few industries selected by the government to be priority for the development, right? Uh, so, but this concept, yeah, of the industrial policy also has been criticized, yeah, because then it create an inefficient infant industries that cannot compete with what do you call it, other industries in other countries. Yeah. So then also need protection from the government. But now I think industrial policy also means that the government give uh, assistance and facilitate uh, industries as a whole with various instruments such as incentive for R&D, yeah, research and development, infrastructure, and so on and so forth. So I think this kind of incentives, yeah, given by the whole industries is very important to create also the uh, to create the decent environment of the decent jobs in the economy.
Okay, thank you, Pak. So industry certainly needs to take part to provide incentives to enable the decent work for the small businesses and as well as to the decent work. And now I think thank you so much, Dr. Fadli, for the
Yeah,
discussion we had today and for answering some of the questions posted in YouTube. And as well for your great presentations. We had a number of new insights and new facts, and certainly would provide us an ideas on what kind of suitable solutions to recover from this pandemic era. And we would like to invite again Dr. Atikur Rahman, who already joining us right now. So hopefully the internet connection is already fine. Assalamualaikum warahmatullah, Dr. Atikur Rahman. We still can't hear your voice clearly. Assalamualaikum, Dr. Atikur Rahman. We still cannot hear you. Yeah, perhaps the connection is still poor. Perhaps you could turn off your camera. Perhaps enable your internet connection better.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
Okay.
Can you listen?
Yes, we can hear you, but perhaps you could turn off your volume. Yeah, from the other
Can you
device.
listen me now?
Yes, now it's crystal clear now. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Dr. Atikur
But
Rahman. How are you
uh,
doing, Bapak? How are you doing?
I'm very
I'm sorry, you're cutting off again. You're cutting off again. Your internet connection is cutting off again. Perhaps you could turn off your video and then hopefully it enables the sound better. Unfortunately, we still can't hear you. Dr. Rahman, we can't hear your voice clearly now. It's still cutting off. Perhaps you could try to change your internet connections provider, perhaps from your mobile device.
I have tried my mobile device as well.
Okay. Now this one is fine, Dr. Rahman. Alhamdulillah, this one is fine. I think so. Uh,
The sound is clearly audible now.
now it's clear. So now it's clear. Alhamdulillah. So yeah, Dr. Rahman, thank you so much for taking the time with
I
us.
guess I would be able to share the
Can
slide as well. Let me try if I can.
I think the slide will be run by the committee or
Uh, is it visible? No.
yeah, so we can hear you. So Dr. Rahman, before you deliver this your presentation, allow me to read out your resume to the participants here. So yeah, we're happy that Dr. Rahman is now on board with us. Dr. Rahman um, is the professor and director of Kashmir Institute of Economics of University of Azad Jammu and Kashmir. And now we will hear Dr. Rahman to share the to share the workforce applying Islamic business ethics in building the national economy. Nah, yes. And Dr. Rahman, the floor is yours. You have around 20 minutes. Yeah.
Hello? Can you listen me, please?
Yes. Please continue, Dr. Rahman. Please start presentation.
Okay. The topic of my presentation is in front of you. Who is operating this slide, please? Next slide, please. Okay. Look, there is a history behind the development of social sciences in the West. Basically, there were two kind of influential people in the medieval period in the West. One of those was the scientists, and the other were priests and religious clerics. And what happened at that time, the clerics were the people with the lot of influence in the society, and they were believing in the things which are not true. Basically, for example, they believed that the earth is stationary, whereas it is now well known that this is not the case. And some people who try to convince the people that the earth is not stationary, they used to punish them, and beside this they were financially corrupt. These people were selling certificates for heaven, and they were selling the religious position. If you can pay some dollars, you can be a priest in the church, and so and so. What happened in this scenario? The people started believing that religion is something false and science is something which is very true, and gradually they lost their belief on the um, religion, and they started believing just next slide, please. Okay, so people started believing in scientific laws such as the Newton law of motion, and the things like this. And the dilemma is, they thought that the social sciences are also functioning like this. Just like you can have a law for the force, and for first law of motion, second law of motion, they thought that the social sciences are also like this. And the people are also behaving like physical objects. If you do some action one time, you will have some reaction, and if you repeat it 100 times, you will have same reaction every time. But this is not happening with the social with the people, with the human beings. This is what is happening with the physical objects, and people are not physical objects. So what happened, uh, when they believed that the social sciences are also behaving like um physical objects, they started developing laws for the social sciences. And these laws, actually these were not discoveries, they invented the laws, they made the laws, and they believed that the world is doing like this, but actually this is not the case. For example, they thought that the world is pursuing the utility theory. Everyone is trying to maximize his own utility, but actually this is not the case. So can you go to next slide, please? Next. Okay, so they started believing that everyone is trying to maximize his her own utility, and the one who is not utilizing his maximizing his utility is termed as irrational. And they thought that everyone is trying to do this, and they thought that there is some economics which is positive without any role of ethics and moralities, and they thought that tastes of the peoples in a society are fixed and they cannot be changed. And the only purpose of economics is to tell the people how to maximize the taste that they have, how to maximize the utility given the taste that they possess. So what happened, all of these things, next slide please. Unfortunately, all of these beliefs and all of these laws that were developed as they are all false. For example, human beings do not follow any universal law. if you do one action this time, there will be one return. If you do the same action next time, you will have some other return. And people are not like physical object. They change their response to identical situations, and the people usually pursue the utility, but the utility is not the only motive in their decision making. They have love, they have hate, they have many other kind of sensations which play their roles in the decision making. So basically, no decision in social sciences is possible without normative and moral implications. Next slide, please. Without normative or moral implication, therefore, there is no existence of positive economics. Every economic action that you are doing today is having some normative implication, is having some implication for socio-economic indicators. The taste in the society can be modified. If you are believing that something is looking good to you, in the next time you can have hate for the same thing. The taste can be modified and taste can be changed according to your, and the utility maximization is not the necessarily lead to maximization of the welfare for society. This was another belief, that if everyone is trying to maximize his or her own utility, the welfare of society will be maximized, but this is not actually the case. For example, suppose you have, next slide please. Suppose you have 10 workers in a company, and what is the advice of economics? Everyone should utilize his own, maximize his own utility. So suppose there is a worker A, he is maximizing his utility. What will happen? He will get salary without doing work, that's fine. But if all 10 workers stop their work, what will happen? The company will go bankrupt and everyone will suffer. So the idea that if everyone is maximizing his own utility, this will lead to maximization of welfare of society is fundamentally false. Next slide, please. Unlike the philosophy of social sciences, there is no way to organize a society without ethics and norms. We are made to believe that there is a positive economics without any norms and without any consideration of socio-economic consequences, but actually there is nothing in the economics which is free from the norms. Every action that you do is having some normative implication. Everyone believes that one should not steal money. What happened with the social sciences is that they thought that there should be no norms, there should be no ethics, but this cannot organize society. For example, if I found the chance to steal some money from the locker, should I do it or not? If we don't believe in any normative implications, if we don't believe in the norms and ethics, we should steal because it will maximize my utility. But everyone even in the secular sciences believes that we should not do this. Why? This is possible only with normative beliefs. If you ignore the normative beliefs, this is not possible. What Islam teaches us about ethics and normalities, normatives, please, you don't own any property. If you have a house, this is not your own. This is the property of Almighty Allah, and you are the custodian. And you cannot escape from the surveillance of Almighty Allah, and no single moment of your life could be skipped from His monitoring system. And the fulfillment of your desire is under certain constraint. You have to limit your desires, and you should not pursue to satisfy every one of your desires, and you have to surrender your desires for the betterment of society. Next slide, please. Next. Economic growth. The topic was given to me that I have to discuss the relationship between economic growth and ethics. Basically, growth is a concept which is now outdated and is no longer considered as a sole aim of the society. The development is now the concept which is more close to what society need to do. And the concept of development has been evolving over the time. It started from simple GDP growth, and now it has gone to the sustainable development goals. And Islam is giving you better concept of development than the all these measures of development that have been developed so far. Islam believes that human prosperity is categorized into 5 broad categories that are known as objectives of Sharia. And you know what are the objectives of Sharia? The security of faith. Next slide, please. These are the 5 objectives of Sharia: security of faith, security of life, security of intellect, and security of posterity, and economic security. These are the 5 things which Sharia teaches us to pursue. Next slide, please. The early concept of growth and development was too narrow compared to what objective of Sharia says us to do. In particular, the element of sustainability was not there. There was no concept of sustainability in the economic growth and the future development, like human development and then millennium development goals, etc. And the most recent is sustainable development goal, which incorporated the sustainability. But the sustainability is there in the objectives of Sharia from the day one. And you have the one of the objective of Sharia is security of lineage. What you have to do, you have to secure the life for your future generations as well, and that comes under the sustainable development goals. And therefore the development that has been made so far fall under the umbrella of objectives of Sharia. Next slide. As I have told you, Islam is pursuing 5 objectives of life, and for every objective there is some provision in Islamic ethics that how you can achieve this objective. So the sustainable development goals that have been developed so far are basically what they fall under the umbrella of objectives of Sharia. And if you are following the Islamic ethics, this means you have the tools to achieve the objectives of Sharia, and this means you have the tool to achieve the sustainable development goals. For example, there is so much emphasis on the reduction of poverty and inequality in the Islamic work ethics, and the reduction of poverty and inequality are now part of the sustainable development goals. Similarly, there is emphasis on tree plantation in Islam, and this is actually related to a number of development goals in the SDG agenda. And therefore, following Islamic norms in your day-to-day business will lead to speedy progress toward SDG, which is now the development agenda of the entire world. And even the narrow definition of economic growth, there are the provisions in Islamic business ethics that how you can achieve this. I would go one step further, and I would say that development is possible only by the diversion from secular ethics to Islamic ethics. If you don't follow Islamic ethics, you cannot achieve the development, be it the Millennium Development Goals, be it the Sustainable Development Goals, and so and so. You have to sacrifice, you have to abandon the secular ethics in order to get the Sustainable Development Goals. What the secular ethics says to you, you have to maximize your own utility. That will maximize the welfare of the society. But if I'm doing this, I will steal money. If I can find a chance, will it lead to prosperity of the society? No, it cannot lead. So Islamic ethics says that you cannot do this. You cannot steal money except only if your life is a threat. If you have a threat for your life, then you can do a small bit of the haram things, otherwise you cannot do. So Islamic ethics is saying me that I should not steal, and this is what every society is expecting from us. So if we want to do the development, we have to follow the Islamic ethics. Otherwise, if we were following the secular ethics that were taught by the economists, then what should we do? We should maximize our own utility. This means that stealing something is halal for us. We can do this. But despite having the view that you should maximize the utility for yourself, no society can allow to steal the money. This is basically departure from the maximization of utility theory. Next slide, please. What happens with the if you follow the conventional ethics, you know, in the famine of Bengal in 1943, approximately 2.1 to 3.8 million died. And Amartya Sen says that there was no shortage of grains at that time in Bengal. There was enough grains in Bengal. But what was happening, the rice was being exported from Bengal to other parts of the world at that time of famine. When the people were dying, the food was moving outside the Bengal. What was the reason? Because the people of Bengal were not having money in their hands to buy the food, and the outsider world was having a lot of money, and the grains were going outside the famine. This is what happens if you follow the secular ethics, if you follow your own utility maximization theory. But if you are following Islam, what will happen? You cannot ignore a hungry neighbor at your doorstep. You are not a true Muslim according to Hadith if your neighbor sleeps hungry and you are having grains at your home. The famine of Bengal is a proof. Next slide, please. Next. Okay. The secular belief that there is some invisible hand, there is some automatic mechanism which is correcting the society, and things like this is basically false. This did not happen in Bengal, and 2.5 million people died of hunger. There is no free market, and there is no utility maximization does not lead you to the optimal outcomes for the society. You have to follow the Islamic ethics if you want to bring something good in the society. If you if you are following just secular ethics, this will lead to the situation that happened in Bengal. And now what you can see what is happening in the West. Can you go to next slide, please? Next. Next. Okay. So, you know, during COVID, what happened? The Western governments give the package worth of trillions of dollars to their people. Right? This was an intervention in the free market. The market was working. They intervened in it, and this is not allowed under the secular ethics under which the economics developed. So what they did is actually a departure from the secular ethics. And what happened, basically this is what Islam teaches us, to care for the people if they are hungry, to care for the people if they are not having food, to care for them if they are not fulfilling their legitimate needs. And the government did this. They departed from the secular teaching and they converted to the Islamic teaching, and that's how they came out of the COVID crisis. And this strategy successfully led them to out of the crisis. There are so many actions that have normative implications, but economists usually ignore them. Please, next slide. For example, you people might have studied the monetary policy, and when you are studying monetary policy, there is absolutely no discussion about the socio-economic implications of monetary actions. For example, what is happening today is every country in the world is now following the tight monetary policy. What is tight monetary policy? They are increasing the interest rate and they are reducing the money supply in order to control inflation. Why to control inflation? This is not because of the poor people. They are controlling inflation because they said that it will affect the business. If inflation is high, it is affecting the business environment. So who is the target? Whom they want to benefit? They want to benefit the investors who are investing in some business. And what will happen? In this way, there will be a contraction in the economy. What will happen with contraction? There will be some unemployment. And who will suffer with unemployment? The person who is having millions, he will not suffer. The person who is having lots of wealth, he will not suffer. The person who is having permanent job will not suffer. Who will suffer after unemployment? The temporary job holder, the people who are having least resources in their pocket. They will suffer because of this tight monetary policy. There is normative implication. The implication is very clear that by following a tight monetary policy, the most poor class in the society, the most vulnerable class in the society, the temporary job holders will suffer. But they are doing this because they they don't actually mention that there is some socio-economic or normative implication, but there is normative implication. When they tight the monetary policy, some people will lose job. Who will lose job? The poorest people. So they are doing to bring the stability at the cost of poorest people of the society. Is it justified? There is normative implication and they are ignoring it. But if they were following the Islamic norms, they should not do this, because this will make some people worse off, and those who will be worse off, they are the poorest people in the society. Next slide, please. Similarly, you might have seen the export policies. Many people advise, if you want to improve your export, what you have to do, you have to increase you have to reduce the value of your local currency, right? Okay, if you are reducing the value of local currency, what will happen? Your export will increase. Who will get benefit? The rich person who is doing the business of import and export, he will get the benefit. Who will suffer? The common man will suffer, who is purchasing the cheap goods coming from the foreign, and who is to face the burden of external debts and so. But economists pretend to show that there is no socio-economic implication, but actually there are the normative implications which are hidden and which are not brought into the limelight. And if you are doing this, basically you are doing a sin. You are making most vulnerable people of the society to sacrifice, and in order to improve the lives of upper class. And this is uh, what is being done in the name of secular ethics, in the name of positive economics. And actually this is not positive. This is having lots of implication, and those implications are very harmful for the society, and everyone is doing this. Normative considerations are necessary to be invoked in monetary policy, in business, and in every other thing which you can do. If you are to improve your own business, what you have to do, you have to invoke the Islamic business. And if you have to improve the society, you have to do the following the Islamic ethics. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rahman, for the great presentation, for the mind-blowing underlying views from the Islamic perspective of the economy. Dr. Rahman, I'm keen to understand better in terms of your last statement on the monetary policy. You've mentioned that monetary policy is targeting more to the businesses compared to the people. What is the ideal construction to amend this conventional
I'm
policy?
again having some problem in listening you.
Okay, I will speak louder. Dr. Rahman, can you hear my voice now? Can you hear my voice?
Yes, yes, no.
Okay. Yeah. I'm keen to understand your last statement on the monetary policy that it's more targeting to the businesses benefits compared to the people. What is the ideal construction to amend the current convention policy, and is there any practical implementation that has successfully implemented the Islamic non-monetary policy to address the economic growth issues and matters? Over to you, Pak. Can you hear my questions clearly?
Yes, please. I have listened to your question.
Perhaps you could turn
Hello,
off
are
the
you listening
volume
me?
of the other. Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so this is very important question that what are the alternative for monetary policy if this monetary policy is not as per ideal or optimal conditions. Basically, I was invited by Bank Indonesia in the last year, and I have presented an idea. You might be aware of Salam Finance because most of the people are following Sharia Economics Forum. So you might be aware of the idea of Salam Finance. I have developed a framework for monetary policy based on Salam Finance, and that can do much better than the conventional monetary policy.
How does this work actually in practical, Dr. Rahman? This Salam policy based, how does this work? Perhaps you could share us a bit on the theory of change of this Salam policy. You're still muted.
Can you repeat your question, please?
Yeah, how does this Salam policy can work? Perhaps you could elaborate more on that, or is there any concrete or practical implementation that already successfully implemented the Salam policy? We would like to understand the theory of change, or how does this Salam policy work?
Unfortunately, my internet connection is repeatedly creating problem. I cannot listen your question thoroughly, but I
Yeah,
guess there is what is complete framework. Actually, there is a lengthy discussion about this, and if you can have some other session, I will discuss in details. But right now the time is very short to elaborate all the things, and but believe me, the things would be much better if you implement an Islamic monetary policy that is based on the idea that what you have to do, for example, what are the objectives of monetary policy? You have to do the price control. For example, if you are growing palms, and you are doing it on the basis of salam, government is providing finances on the basis of salam, and the people are producing palms. What will happen at the end of the term, the government will have lots of palm in their inventory, and they can use this palm they can sell this at the price they want, and this is the best tool for managing the prices. And similarly, what is the objective of monetary policy apart from the price control? It's the for example, it is employment generation is an objective. So how you can generate employment? You can ask the people to produce the palms, and for this you can give them the money. This is the policy for generating employment. Similarly, what is the other objective? For example, growth. How you can enhance growth? You can ask the people to produce palms. So everything which the monetary policy want to do, you can do this on the basis of Salam Finance, and that will be much better tool to control the variables that central banks are controlling, and in a decent way. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rahman, for the answer. Yeah, it's clear. But I have follow-up questions since we have still 3 minutes and still waiting questions from the YouTube. Do you have any example of country who has adopted it?
So far, no country is practicing Islamic monetary policy, but there is now desire. For example, in Pakistan, the Sharia court has ordered to divert the system from conventional to Islamic, and hopefully this will get implemented there.
Amen. Yeah, I think we have one question from YouTube just appeared now, but it's now, yeah, from Fidi. It's from Makassar. It's in his questions is what makes society still doubt that Islamic economic is a solution in post-COVID recovery, even though we know that there are so many positive points related to the development. Over to you, Dr. Rahman.
The only reason for doubt on Islamic economics is the Muslims themselves. We did not present a good solution. If we had presented a good solution, for example, what is happening in the world today, the world is converged to zero interest rate, and now they are trying to increase the interest rate. What is happening? They are trying it to control inflation, and there is no single country where inflation could be controlled by using this high interest rate policy. This is clearly failed policy. But what are the alternatives? We as Muslim could not present the alternatives. That is the problem, and that is the thing which is creating doubts. Otherwise, there is no reason to doubt on the potential of Islamic economic system.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Rahman. I think we have 1 minute left for this session, and we have thank you so much for your great presentations and great insights and to the approach. Oh, sorry, we have one more questions from the YouTube. It's from Lutfi from GUNADARMA. Dr. Atik, can we say that SDG is literally the implying of Maqasid Sharia, or there are so much more that we can extract from Maqasid Sharia that can solve the problem of the world economic?
As I have said, the all the sustainable development goals are basically lying under the framework of objectives of Sharia, and still they are lacking. The SDGs are still lacking. The Maqasid Sharia are providing a wider framework, and the society will converge to this wider framework soon. So we can extract almost all of the indicators of sustainable development goals right from the objectives of Sharia.
What is the key gaps of the SDG over Maqasid Sharia? Dr. Rahman, perhaps you could share us a bit on that.
Can you repeat your question?
What is the gaps between SDG criteria, SDGs principles, comparing to the Maqasid Sharia? What is not in SDGs?
For example, there is no provision about security of faith in the sustainable development goals, whereas it is accepted now everyone should have independence to practice his own religion. This is not a part of sustainable development goal right now, but the objectives of Sharia is containing this, and soon the people will converge to this point as well, and there are other gaps as well.
Thank you so much. The answer is very clear. So yeah, now we have this is the time to end this is the final sessions of our discussions. Thank you so much for the insightful knowledge on the Islamic finance and economy. It makes us a lot of new ideas on how we could find a suitable solutions to recover the economies that we are that the challenges of economy that we are facing currently, and hopefully that Islamic economy will be one of the key solutions that can be also accepted by the global community. So thank you so much, Dr. Atikur Rahman, for taking the time with us, and thank you so much for the participants who have been with us for the last few hours, and also to the committee. I will over this session to the
Thank you very much. I'm very thankful to University for inviting me for this session, and I'm very thankful to all the audience. Thank you very much.
yeah. Thank you very much, and for the inconvenience cost. And I will over this session to the IMC. Mbak Dian, over to you. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much to the moderator and the speakers for informative and interesting presentation, and to the participants for your participation in this event. Hopefully, the seminar will be beneficial for everyone. Amin. Alhamdulillah, the International Seminar Accelerating Decent Work and Economic Growth for a Resilient Global Recovery in the Era of Disruption has been done properly. Attention to the participants, please fill out the questionnaire in column live chat YouTube as proof of attendance or on the link saf.or.id/economic growth. Information regarding the terms and conditions about the certificate will be notified again through the participant group. Thank you. Then, we would like to inform you that we're holding open recruitment of Sharia Economic Forum 2022. This opportunity is open for the students of GUNADARMA University in the first until the fourth semester. Register yourself by click the link below, saf.or.id/open recruitment. Well, thank you so much for the participants who have joined the Gsent contest. The winner of Gsent contest is... Congratulations to Aul Zuhra. The winner will be contacted by the committee through direct message of Instagram. Once again, we would like to say thank you for all who have joined the seminar and supported this event. See you again in our next event. For further information, please visit our website of saf.or.id and follow our Instagram at KSEI_saf and at Gsent_saf. Billahi taufik wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Maaf, kamu Gina ya?
Bowo,
Gina, apa kabar?
long time no see.
Lama banget. Kamu sendiri kan? Join meja aku yuk.
Boleh. Kamu ngapain sendirian di sini?
Tadi itu aku habis job interview.
Really? Di mana?
Di LPS, My Dream Job.
LPS.
Lembaga Penjamin Simpanan. Kamu lihat semua orang yang ada di sini, pasti setiap orang yang ada di sini punya simpanan di bank kan? Baik itu bentuknya giro, deposito, atau tabungan. Pokoknya setiap kegiatan ekonomi dan transaksi kita nih, itu selalu melibatkan yang namanya bank untuk mencatat dan menyimpan transaksi kita. Dan LPS ini, Gin, mulia banget. Karena LPS ini menjamin simpanan kita di bank kalau nih tiba-tiba uang kita atau dana kita itu hilang. Atau tiba-tiba banknya bermasalah. Jadi LPS yang menjamin.
LPS keren dong.
Keren dong, dan banyak banget ya nasabah bank yang tertolong sama LPS ini. Jadi kita tuh nggak perlu khawatir kalau punya simpanan di bank. Kan ada LPS yang ngejamin.
LPS ada sejak kapan sih?
Aku liatin kamu sejarahnya LPS, kamu nonton ini. Sambil kamu nonton, aku cari cemilan dulu. Oke?
Tahun 1997 sampai 1998 terjadi krisis ekonomi di Indonesia. Kepercayaan pada perbankan merosot drastis dan terjadi penarikan dana besar-besaran oleh masyarakat. Stabilitas perekonomian nasional berada di ujung tanduk. Untuk mengatasi krisis, pemerintah mengeluarkan beberapa kebijakan, di antaranya memberikan blanket garansi atau jaminan atas seluruh kewajiban pembayaran bank termasuk simpanan masyarakat. Dalam pelaksanaannya, blanket garansi memang dapat menumbuhkan kembali kepercayaan masyarakat terhadap industri perbankan. Namun, ruang lingkup penjaminan yang terlalu luas ternyata membebani keuangan negara dan menyebabkan timbulnya moral hazard baik dari sisi pengelola bank maupun masyarakat. Akhirnya, program penjaminan yang sangat luas lingkupnya tersebut digantikan dengan sistem penjaminan yang terbatas. Pada tahun 2004, pemerintah Indonesia menerbitkan Undang-Undang Nomor 24 Tahun 2004 tentang Lembaga Penjamin Simpanan. Setahun kemudian, yakni pada tanggal 22 September 2005, LPS mulai beroperasi.
Gimana?
Menarik banget ya videonya.
Ya kan, bagus banget kan? Nah, aku masih punya banyak lagi kalau kamu mau nonton.
Mau, tapi gimana kalau kita pindah tempat?
Ayo, boleh. Kita cari yang outdoor ya. Ayo.
Kalau di luar negeri itu ada LPS juga nggak sih?
Ada, tapi namanya bukan LPS. FDIC, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. Jadi ada 100 negara di dunia yang punya program yang sama kayak LPS ini. Nah, mereka itu tergabung dari Asosiasi Lembaga Penjamin Simpanan Internasional. LPS hadir untuk
menjamin simpanan di bank,
membuat kita tenang.
hati tentram.
LPS, sahabat nasabah Indonesia.